everybody. Welcome to Kruse Control. I hear something in the background here. I think our theme song's still playing somewhere on someone's device. Oh, does someone have a live feed on? Maybe I have it on or somebody has it on. Oh, maybe I have it on. That's wild. I think Brian messed up tonight, everybody. Welcome to Kruse Control. Here we go. It's Friday the 13th, 2023. I've been editing in the background and working on the channel, so I think that the YouTube was open in the background and I could hear it, but you probably couldn't actually hear it. So one of those weird technical things. Anyways, we're here to talk about movies, TV, streaming, and everything about film and entertainment from people that actually work in the entertainment industry. And joining me again, as always, is Miss Sabrina Vittori. Sabrina, welcome to the program, as always. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Happy Friday the 13th. How's your Friday the 13th so far?
Honestly, pretty good day. So no creepy, weird Friday the 13th things going on for me.
All right. And GR, hello. Welcome to the program as well. Welcome back again. Thank you for commenting. That's good. It's Friday. It's a weird day. So in the news, we're going to talk about some things that relate to horror, but also we're going to talk about Friday the 13th in general and maybe our favorite horror movie. But also joining us again today, welcoming back to the program, is manager from Citizen Skull, Mr. Jake Slonecki. Jake, welcome to the program. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing? How has your day been?
It's been good. I took 2 naps today.
Oh, nice. That's a very good Friday the 13th, huh?
I'm just trying to stay out of it, you know.
Just trying to stay out of it. Trying to just get past this day, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we're here to talk about a lot of things tonight. Thank you for tuning in again, everybody that's here, that's live. And we're going to jump right into it as we always do because, well, we have stuff to talk about. So here is some breaking news. All right. As Matthew McConaughey would actually say. I'm going to jump right in to talk about Jeremy Renner a little bit. So Jeremy Renner, who we talked about before last week, maybe it was earlier this week, the days fly by so fast. Well, he's in the hospital and he's still recouping. And they're saying that he's actually doing better and better. And he's reaching all of his goals, which is great. But also in the news, his show, Mayor of Kingstown, is actually coming out on January 15th. That's right, January 15th, the debut of season 2 of his show. Now, when I heard about this, I was like, there was a season 1, which apparently it was under the radar for me on Paramount Plus. But for everybody out there, his show is coming back if you're a fan. And here's a little bit about the series. So if you haven't watched it, you can kind of know what the show is about.
The series follows the McCluskey family, power brokers in Kingston, Michigan, where the business of incarceration is the only thriving industry. Tackling themes of systemic racism, corruption, and inequality, the series provides a stark look at their attempt to bring order and justice to a town that has neither.
I love that this is about somebody from Michigan. I'm from Michigan, so it's always fun to hear about shows that are set actually in Michigan. Jake's from Michigan. Detroit area, probably, I'm guessing, the whole product. But you never know how they're going to actually portray it, which I always think is interesting to see how they show Michigan and Michiganders, because I think we're great people. Just saying, putting that out there, right, Jake?
Sure.
Sabrina, you hear about this program. What do you think? Have you heard of this show before? And if you haven't, does this perk your interest a little bit? I know I told you to watch the trailer. I told Jake too, just to check it out. Are you interested in the show at all?
I mean, not overwhelmingly so. I never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. But I did watch the trailer per your request. And I mean, there's some actors in there that I like, and I mean, it could be good. It's just not. It doesn't jump out as my genre of show. Honestly, I don't think I'll be. If I had nothing else to watch, I might check it out. But it's not really on my list.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner looks great in it. Like, he's usually awesome in everything he does. He's just very committed to his acting style, I should say, and his craft. So I think it looks good. It looks gritty. It looks kind of fun. It's of course a gritty drama. But when I first heard of it, I thought it was going to be that HBO show that had Kate Winslet in it for a second. I'm like, Mayor of what? But I think it's probably too close to that as a title. But
Mayor of Eastwick.
Yeah, Eastwick. We got Mayor of Kingstown. What else we got on the agenda next? Who knows?
But it wasn't Mayor. It was Mayor.
Oh, I always thought it was Mayor. I don't know why.
No.
You see, I watched the show and I still thought it was Mayor, which is hilarious. Jake, you hear about this? What do you think? Have you heard of this show before? Have you watched this show before? Do you know anything about it? And what do you think about the trailer and the whole concept of it?
I didn't know about this until you sent it to me, actually. So it's something I think I like stories like this as long as they're done tastefully and they don't turn into a political stunt. Just saying. Like, I understand there's a lot of problems in the incarcerated community, if you will, and that whole thing, and it needs to be addressed and it needs to be fixed. And shows like this sometimes they kind of give me a weird vibe. Like, okay, so what's the motivation for doing a story like this and turning it into a dramatizing something like it? So,
yeah. And is it needed or not?
Is it needed or not? Is it? Yeah. What purpose is it serving? Is it just entertainment, or is it actually trying to? I don't know. It's one of those shows that I would have to watch before I make a judgment on it. The whole thing.
Yeah, and it's been on Paramount Plus. You're getting the second season, so it must be doing well. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's able to do this too, it's great. He's moving on kind of from Avengers stuff as we thought he would be too, because Hawkeye, they did the TV show, and at that point, it kind of seemed like he'd be stepping away, and he's taking other projects. So it kind of means there's probably be less and less of Hawkeye and things. And again, we were talking about this. I talked to Jake about this briefly today, and we were saying like, okay, well, this happened. Like, how does that affect production? Well, production's done, but if they want to do any kind of reshoots, I don't think that's happening right now, because with Jeremy Renner in the hospital the way he is, mm-hmm. He's not going to be working anytime soon. It does not seem like it, at least.
No.
Yeah, there's
which is very
cut around what they have. That's it.
Yeah, and we hope that he recovers. Like, honestly, he's been going through so much. The fact that I can't even imagine what he's gone through. And the way that they talk about it is like he's just trying to help a friend out in real life, And then this happens to him. And it's just unfortunate that he's in the hospital and recovering, but it sounds like he's doing much better. And hopefully the show does well and it gives him a smile on his face and helps him feel better. And hopefully his cast and crew are there supporting him too. I bet they are. And I just hope the best for him. So what do you think about it? Let us know. We got to move on. Just a little touch of Mayor of Kingstown. But we're going to move on to our next subject. And this is something that I heard about. And I remember when this show came out initially, it's called Die Hart, if you will. Die Hart. When I first heard of it, I thought, this sounds interesting. It's Kevin Hart. It's John Travolta. And it was originally released on the platform Quibi. Now, Quibi was a platform that came out during the pandemic, and they had this, all these people are putting like millions and millions of dollars in this. It was supposed to be a streaming website thing on your phone. They were shooting the whole thing vertical, as you see me now, as opposed to a normal horizontal landscape that most TV shows are done through. And they're supposed to be short 7-10 minute episodes, and that was it. Well, they shot this whole show. They put it on Quibi. Quibi bombed bad. Quibi did not do well. People just did not buy in it. They didn't subscribe. It didn't work out. They had all this original content that just didn't go really anywhere. Well, this was one of their best hit shows, Die Hart. And now Amazon is picking it up and changing it and forming it into a new product. And here's a little bit about what's happening with this show, Die Hart.
The movie is a condensed version of the series, which follows Kevin Hart playing a fictionalized version of himself, as he sets out to pivot away from being pigeonholed as comedy wingman to be taken seriously as an action movie star. Kevin Hart attends action hero school run by Ron Wilcox, played by John Travolta, where he attempts to learn the ropes on how to become one of the industry's most coveted action stars.
Yeah, I thought this was actually really funny. I started watching because they have a bunch of their stuff up on YouTube. It's also on Roku now, but they're taking that season, which is like a bunch of like I said, 7-8 minute episodes, and they're combining into one feature film now. So it's already shot. It's already done. There's re-editing it for Amazon, and it'll be on Prime Video. And I thought that was kind of good because a lot of people didn't see this, and watching the trailers and then actually seeing a little bit of the episodes, it's pretty funny. It's pretty much Kevin Hart playing himself, being like, I want to be an action star, and Travolta's this big, like, it kind of reminds me of when you do stunts in this town. They have these boot camps where you go there and you actually learn how to be a stunt performer, because a lot of people don't know how to take bumps. They don't know how to do it right. They have pros that come in and teach them. So it seemed like that kind of camp that they were touching on that, but instead it's to be an action star. And they're putting him through the ringer, and they're actually having him do, like, he thinks it's real life. Things are happening in real life, but they're shooting it and they're showing people being like, look, this is him being an action star, it can work. Oh, it looks pretty funny. So Sabrina, you hear about this. Have you heard the show before? Have you heard of Quibi? And what do you think about the actual show? Do you think it's a great idea? And you think it's great that they're putting it into a movie?
I heard about Quibi like when it came out, and I remember seeing like not a billboard, but like at the bus stop they have those posters basically, and I remember seeing Kevin Hart and John Travolta, and I was like, "What movie is this?" Because of course, who doesn't want to see Kevin Hart and John Travolta together?
It sounds great.
So I came home and Googled it, and I found out that it was like weird little 7-minute episodes on this new platform called Quibi. So I kind of was like, well, obviously I'm not going to get this thing. And who wants to watch 7 minutes of anything? That's and then it's over. I didn't realize it was like a series of episodes. But I watched the trailer for it, and it actually looks really funny. I like Kevin Hart a lot. I think he's hilarious. And I could take or leave John Travolta depending upon the movie, but it seems like he's pretty funny in this. So I would definitely check it out.
If you watch the trailer alone, it's like funny because they're like, he shows up at this boot camp. I don't know if you saw this, Jake, but he shows up at the boot camp and he's like, there's no sexual favors or something here. There's no sleep with anybody. There's no going down on anybody. There's none of that. And he's like, well, how many people are here? He's like, it's just me.
Yeah. He was selling him, he was like winding him up for something. And then he's like, but I'm the one who's here. So
I'm the one who's here, right?
Yeah.
You see this, Jake? Does this look funny to you? Do you think it's a great concept? And do you think it's good that they're actually changing it into a movie right now for a broader audience?
It almost sounds like they didn't have a choice. If it didn't work for Quibi and they're like, well, what do we do with this now? Well, turn it into a movie. It's a smart move, I think, to do it. And yeah, I think I'd watch it because I too like Kevin Hart and I laugh whenever I see him doing something. I don't know if you guys saw the tortilla slap when him and The Rock spitting water at each other.
Yes.
That was great.
About Pete when I was watching that. So, yeah, I think it's a good move. And I think it's pretty clever that they can, it's amazing what you can do if you have all this raw footage and it's edited a certain way. It just shows you the power of that tool that you can turn into a film, So I think that's what they're doing, right? Is that what you said they're doing? Okay.
Yeah, turn into a film.
Yeah.
And that's what it is also kind of cool just because it's like you look at it and look at the two big actors right here. And they joke about The Rock too, about how he's in The Rock's shadow kind of. And he's like, I'm good too.
Maybe they can throw a tortilla slap in there at the end somewhere.
Perfect. Yeah. After he's done
just like
behind, it can just like a tortilla can just fall.
I hope they just spend just a little bit of money and just shoot at least one scene with The Rock where they can have something if he's not in already, which I don't think he is. So if you take something, just tie that together to make that joke like a button at the end of the whole movie, that might be fun.
Yeah.
But it does look really, really funny. And the little bit I watched, you can watch some on YouTube. I guess Roku again. There's a bunch of it on Roku, or just wait for the movie at this point because I feel like they're gonna find all the best moments and then put it all together in one big, hour and a half, 2-hour movie. And what's funny is it's like the episodes are so short. They might just like literally just like put them in a timeline, be like 1 episode, 2 episodes, 3, 5, and just stack them up together. And it might just be an hour and 20 minutes and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just be easy to make it a movie without cutting anything out. They might not be able to cut anything out. So it might be great. I think it's an actual smart idea for this platform because it did not get seen. A lot of people did not pick up on Quibi. So like, why not? It's great material. You got 2 big actors in it. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. And Travolta looks really funny in it too. And Travolta doesn't do a lot of comedy stuff, but he's great. He's great in it. He's just sporting that bald head now, He's letting it rock.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Well, and when
it didn't look bad. It didn't look bad.
No, I didn't realize it was. I was listening to the voice, and I thought, "Wow, that sounds like Travolta." And I was up my phone, obviously, which I'm trying to see things like this. So. But yeah, and then I realized it was him. I was like, "Oh, cool, that's interesting." So,
yeah, it'll be good to see. Mm-hmm. What's everybody think out there? Are you excited about this? You excited to see Die Hart? Did you watch the show before and you're like, "Hey, this would be great to see it someplace else, and maybe it'll get some more fans, and maybe it'll lead to a part 2." You never know. Leave us some comments. We'll get back to you. All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to our next subject. We're gonna talk about the Alien franchise next. So the Alien franchise Of course, if you've not been sleeping on a rock, you've heard of the Alien franchise. There's been like a million Alien movies. Alien, Alien 2, Aliens, Alien Covenant. They keep bringing aliens back. We had Alien versus Predator before. Well, now they decided to do an Alien TV show. Yeah, Alien TV show. That's going down. So it's moving forward. They've been actually working on the scripts right now. They're actually in pre-production, so that's happening. But the whole idea of this is it's taking place on Earth and not in space. Here's a little bit about the series itself. This is from comingsoon.net.
Hawley's series will be the first ever alien story set on Earth, and judging by his comments, will explore the more grounded aspects of the franchise. The director also touched on the inclusion of Weyland-Yutani, the massive corporation that's found in nearly every Alien property, and how he plans to deliver the series that both captures the horror action aspect of the Alien franchise and explores other themes established in the world.
Yeah. And of course, the dogs start barking around when Sabrina is reading. Of course, that's how it goes. But it's actively in pre-production, so they're moving forward with this. So they're going to take it to Earth, and it's going to be a whole different thing. I think it could be fun. It's a different interpretation. It leads the way. Like, does Sigourney Weaver come back somehow? I mean, I don't know. Do they find a way to make her character come in some way, recast somebody younger? But does this movie actually need? On Friday the 13th, let's talk about aliens. Do we need an Aliens TV show? That's the question. Jake, what do you think? We need an Aliens TV show?
Maybe. I don't know. I never watched the movies. If that makes.
You never saw the movies?
No, I think I got halfway through one of the Predator ones one time, and then I lost interest, I think. So
the Predator one's pretty good.
Right, I believe it. I mean, sorry about that.
All good.
If I don't know, if it did really, really well, right, as a film. So, and that was
as a franchise, really.
Right, and it turned into something. So, I don't see why
Ridley Scott. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be great as a show as well. So, I might not watch it, but that doesn't mean millions of other people won't. So, that's cool. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the actual creators behind it, the team, the writing staff, and I hope Ridley Scott's involved a little bit, at least some way or form. And also, the director says they're huge fans. The creator says they're huge fans. They've been, they watched the originals. They want to bring that jump scare horror and the aliens to the planet Earth finally, and show it in a different way, which could be interesting. Now, Sabrina, you hate this kind of stuff. You hate it that they keep pulling from the past and not doing original ideas and changing movies into TV into movies. You've talked about a lot. So you hear about this. Are you a fan of Alien or Aliens or the whole franchise? And is this something you'd actually watch?
I don't. I'm not really into the Predator situation. So Alien versus Predator was a huge no for me. The original Alien, I liked, and the second one I liked. Wasn't there just like a recent one with like Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal?
That was a little different. That wasn't Aliens,
but wasn't
actually.
It supposed to be Alien?
It wasn't Alien, and they were talking how it could maybe tie in, but it wasn't actually. It wasn't actually.
Well, because that
Alien
sucks.
franchise.
So that's a good.
That was called Life.
It's not okay.
That was called Life.
It was not good. So I'm glad that it wasn't
Live.
that. But the weird thing about this is, and I just wish there were more new ideas, but there has not really been an Alien TV show. There's like zombies and vampires and ghosts and all this other weird stuff, but there hasn't really been an Alien TV show. And if it's done properly, I think it could be successful, like in a kind of weird American Horror Story kind of way. And I actually believe, I think it's tapped for FX, so that would make sense.
Yes.
I think it's, if it's structured properly and cast properly and written well, that it could do very well. Yeah,
and it all comes down to casting. It comes down to script, and it's a different idea for the series. And the fact to actually have, because we talked about Alien versus Predator. You had the Predators on Earth all the time, and you barely see their spaceship. It's different with the alien stuff. They've never been on Earth. We've gone to different planets. on the prequels like Prometheus. When we did that, when Ridley Scott did that, they went to the alien planet actually, and we spoke with, was it David, the character David the robot? Yeah, there were 2 movies like that, and they were supposed to do a third, but that never happened yet. But I mean, we've always been in space with the aliens, so this might be fun. They're like, let's take it to Earth, let's see what's going on, let's try it there. I mean, we'll see. It might be good horror. There's not a lot of horror TV shows right now that are like really, really good. We're watching The Servant just came out. If you're watching that just started back. If you haven't watched The Servant, I recommend watching it. I don't know if you've watched that before, Jake. That's really an Apple TV Plus show.
Not yet.
It's M. Night Shyamalan. And it's his show. And it's the 4th season. It's the final season. The first episode just debuted today.
Oh, it's the last season?
It's the last season. Yep. Last season.
Bummer.
Yep. And if if you haven't watched it, watch it. But I think it's a slow start for this new season. It just seemed like a lot happened in one space, and they could have done more. I think. I feel like it's just a very slow start when it comes to that. But again, that's a good horror aspect for a TV show. It's a good example of that because it's good TV horror. But that's the thing. We'll see what happens.
Not great.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but I mean, it's still. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But what do you think about Alien as a TV show, everybody out there? Leave us some comments. We're going to move on because we're talking about Disney a little bit. Now, we've talked about Bob Iger taking over for Disney quite a bit here and taking the reins back from Bob Chapek. Well, now, Bob Iger's like, we got to take care of Disney parks a little bit. That's the thing, like when Bob Chapek was around before, when they were working together, Chapek was in charge of the parks. So you think that this man would know what's going on at the parks, but during COVID, he changed a lot of stuff. And Iger said it's time to go back and make some major changes for the actual pass holders. And these are some of the things right now they're saying are coming up for the season holders and the pass holders when it comes to the actual theme parks. And this is mostly Disneyland itself.
A new ticket deal will be made available for Southern California residents, along with 2 months worth of dates where tickets will be priced at $104. Disneyland Magic key holders or guests with a park hopper ticket can hop between parks beginning at 11 a.m., which is 2 hours earlier than the prior policy, beginning February 4th without limits, a change from Chapek era.
Yeah, and then it goes on to go a little bit further. There's a couple more things that are happening and changing.
Disneyland guests will receive free digital downloads of themselves on attractions or taken by Disney's own photographers in the park. Part of Disney's January 10th anniversary announcements included the date of the return of Happily Ever After and news of temporary fireworks shows at Epcot as the barges are removed.
Yeah, and so these 4 things that are happening, I guess what happened big during COVID, especially in Southern California, was, okay, so I'm going to go to Disneyland. I want to buy a park hopper, right? I want to buy a park hopper. I got the whole day plan. We're going to start here. We're going to move over here. Okay, great. Before you could do that, under Chapek, all of a sudden they said, well, it depends. You're like, what? I want to buy a park hopper there. Well, it depends if you can park hop that day because of numbers. They're like, we can only let so many numbers in each park each day, so it only let so many park hoppers actually happen. So if you planned a whole thing, all of a sudden you can't park hop. Sorry, can't do it. So whatever you're paying for, you're not getting. So they're bringing that back. So now you can just park hop like normal, which is great. The fireworks thing went away a long time. There used to be a barge, I guess, out in the lake right there by Disney. They took that away, so a lot of the fireworks show display went away. Well, they're bringing back the fireworks display. The barge isn't coming back, but they're going to be bringing back this big spectacle again, which a lot of people love to see when they're there, which is great. So these are some big changes. Also, the photo thing. It's like, okay, well, how many times you go to a ride where they take your picture afterwards? Like, that's great. I love to have that memory, but I want to pay like $25. It's price gouging. It's just price gouging. People try to take those pictures on their cell phones all the time. I've been there. I've tried. And they yell at you and chase you off, But that's happened before. When, yeah. They chase you off. They say, don't take pictures. Don't take pictures of that. Buy that picture. That's what they say. Buy that picture. So that's a whole thing. They actually hired people that would like chase people off from taking pictures and yell at you. So, I mean, bringing back the digital thing's great. Of course, only certain context, you have to have a certain pass to get that, but still the fact that's coming back, that makes sense. That should be an easy perk to be involved with your pass as it is. I don't see why that was gone. They're talking about free parking coming back for actual hotels, which is great too. Like, why is there no free parking? I'm paying how much for parking? That's in Florida. So, I mean, these changes are happening, and Bob Iger is like, we got to fix these things. So I've been thinking about this. This is good for people that are thinking about going back to Disney. A lot of people have been like, I'm not going back to Disney anymore because of how much it's been expensive. The day pass itself now is $104 for California residents. Before it was a few $100 for a day, which is insane. It's like
only for 30 days. It's only for 30 days out of 365 days. They're gonna price the tickets at $104. I'm betting it's gonna be extremely off season and probably when children are in school. So
massive
I really,
blackout times.
Like stop touting that you're making the park reasonably affordable for 30 days out of 365. I mean, for me, that's not really a big triumph, Disney. Also, I have to say hi to Brooklyn. Hi, Brooklyn. I love you.
Hi, Brooklyn. So the question is really though, Sabrina, I'm gonna go with you first.
Hi, Brooklyn.
Is this?
I don't know you.
My niece.
Is this a step in the right direction? That's the question. Are they making some moves that are actually going to help consumers, help people to come back to the park, or do you think these are just minor things that are just kind of great, you're trying something, we're not doing enough?
I mean, I'm sure that that's about Brooklyn. I'm sure that some people will be like, "Oh, this is great, let's go back." You know what I mean? But if you really read between the lines, like it's not that great. They're not really giving that much. Oh my God, my dogs. I'm so sorry. I just muted and yelled at him. So I don't think it's that great. I think they're like, I mean, the picture is fine. Like I would never pay that money for a picture anyway. So that doesn't affect me at all. And I'm sure parents who are bringing 3 children or 2 children and having a family outing at Disney are not going to pay $25 for a picture either. So like, I think that's a nice perk, but it's definitely not a reason to go to the park. You know what I mean? And also, like I said, the $104, you're like, oh, you can get the tickets for $104, but it said for nearly 2 months. So it's actually less than 30 days out of 365 days. So I really think they could do more. Honestly, they are the richest company in the world. Like this is things that families do, like a lot of people can't afford to take every kid in the world wants to go to Disneyland or Disney World, every single child. And, if you're a middle-class family, even you can't afford what it costs to go there. So I think they could absolutely do more. 100%.
And there's like no substitute for this, really. I mean, you can go to, Knott's Berry Farm if you're out here, but it's really not the same as Disneyland. In Florida, or Universal Studios is still not the same. It's a magical place. It's something that's completely different from everybody else. So there's nothing else like it. There's no cheap substitute. They have this niche that they can just charge you whatever, and they can do whatever they want. And if you want that entertainment and your kids are begging you and begging you and begging you to go, you got to pay it. And when I was a kid, I went to Disney World. And my parents took me, we loaded a big van up. We traveled down to Florida, and it was like my mom, my dad, my 2 brothers, my uncle, my grandma. It was like everybody in this van. We just piled in and went. And I can't even imagine what it cost back then, let alone do that now. It's insane, but that's the price you pay to let your kids have the most magical experience ever.
I'm sorry. Did you say that you drove in a van from Manistee, Michigan to Orlando, Florida?
Yes, and it broke down along the way.
World.
He did.
But it broke down.
I remember that.
My grandma had this big old.
I don't even know what to say to that, honestly.
It was a huge van too. It was this massive van. But I remember it had this little CRT TV that was like this big. I'm like, we have a TV in the van. It was so cool. And we got to Tennessee and it broke down. And then there was the big debate. My dad got so mad. It's still a big joke in the family. My dad gets mad. It's called map ripping mad. Where he was just holding the map, and he was so pissed. He's like, and he ripped the map in half. And then the rest of the trip, he was like holding it together like this and trying to read it because he didn't have GPS back then.
I didn't realize that's where that came from.
That's where it came from. Yeah, and so, but we ended up renting a car, and we ended up going the rest of the way. We rented another van and we went the rest of the way and continued on our adventure. So, that's what happens when you're in a family and you have kids that are young that want to go to Disneyland, Disney World. It's all part of the experience. Jake,
how long was that trip, Brian?
That 20 trip?
Yeah.
Oh, we were there.
To go to Disneyland.
We did like 4 days there. We did like 4 days, but it was like a week trip because we did.
How long was the drive from Michigan to Orlando?
We drove straight there. It was like 21 hour drive.
Oh my God.
We actually had to stop because the van broke down. We had to stop one night and then we traveled the rest of the way. In college, I actually went to Universal and Disney World again. Not Disney World, but Disneyland. Not Disneyland, just Universal. My brain. Just Universal, which is right by Disney World. And we drove it in about 19, 20 hours. But I would drive straight there, and then we drive straight back. It's just, it's a long drive, but you can make it happen. Jake, you have a small child.
For me.
Jake, you have a small child. So has Charlie ever brought up Disneyland, Disney World? Does she want to go? Is this something that you think, okay, well, maybe they're going to have some more reasonable prices for my family to take a vacation? Or are you like, I don't want to do this ever?
I've never been to Disney.
You never been?
No.
What?
Nope, never been. Always wanted to go, but there were 4 of us growing up in my family, and my parents were it was a hard no. So, growing up for us, it was, we got to go on a family trip like every 4 or 5 years, maybe, is when there was enough saved up to do something like that. And Charlie, I don't think she knows Disneyland exists, and that's okay with me. So
you wait.
I'm not going to bring it up until she does.
That's a good plan.
Yeah. So, as soon as she's aware of it, then we'll have that discussion. But I'm not opposed to it, but at the same time, I don't know if it's going to change her life for the worst if she does go. Maybe it will. Some people might say it would. But yeah.
Wait, she'll be like, I want to be a princess, Daddy. I want to go work at Disney World and be a princess.
That's fine.
That happened to one of our mutual friends. His wife actually wanted to be a princess, and she was.
Yeah, she did. How long? She did that for a while.
I'm sorry, an
a few
adult?
Years. An adult, yeah. One of my buddies, our buddies actually from high school, to not name names, he got married to someone, and when they dated in high school, and then she said, like, I want to be a princess when I grow up, because they'd always talk about what we're going to do when we get older, And he's like, you can't be a princess.
But in high school, you want to be a princess when you grow up? I don't understand.
That's what she said. That's what she said to him. I want to be a princess. And he laughed it off. And then she became a princess at Disney World. So she was Snow White, if you will. And then she's like, I'm a princess for a living.
Charging for those.
That's like a 6-year-old's answer to what do you want to be when you grow up? As a princess. Like I said that when I was probably 6, maybe even 4. I don't know. But in high school, if someone asks you what you want to be when you grow up and you say princess, I think there are some issues. I'm just saying.
Well, that was the thing. But that's the thing about Disney. Though Disney itself, it is this magical place, like I said. And as Jake knows, as you know, Sabrina, it's like there's nothing else like it. And Jake hasn't been there, but he still knows. Like everyone talks about it, right? And the fact that he's an adult, he's like, I still haven't gone, but you would go, right, Jake, if you had the opportunity.
Maybe.
Or no? No interest?
I don't have any desire to go. No.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. I'm cool with just.
He's a grown man. Like, what grown person is like, I can't wait to go to Disneyland?
I'm going to tell you, the Panicos were on here the other day, and we might be, maybe we'll be going with them soon. I'm just saying. There's talks.
Yeah, but that's because there's 3 children involved. It's not because
I was excited about it. I haven't even been here. There's Disneyland here.
Right.
I have friends that have passes here, and they go to Disneyland all the time.
Right.
Adults?
Yeah, adults. It's always
Stop
like
it. No, you don't. That's insane.
Yeah,
this conversation is blowing my mind right now.
I have friends that have invited me multiple times.
That's awesome.
Adults,
I can't.
like adult humans.
It's just too
want to go to
expensive.
Disneyland without children.
I would love to go to the Star Wars thing. They have a whole Star Wars land. That'd be really cool to see. They built the Millennium Falcon there. But, I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. Lived in California for 14 years and I've never gone to Disneyland. It's like an hour drive away,
Right.
But I was at Disney World and I'm like, I don't think it's going to live up to Disney World. I just don't think it will. I feel like I'm going to go and be like, not as good as Disney World. But you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
So I am still a kid, GR. Yeah, at heart. But, we'll see. Disney is its own beast. I'm happy they're making some moves. Hopefully they do better things to make it cheaper. Like, it's great to have, they should have a year pass for California residents, the same as like they used to have. And for Universal, the same thing. That's a little bit cheaper because encourage people to come. Don't discourage them, but again, they don't really care. They're the machine. So they make a lot of money off these parks. So I guess they don't really mind. They'll charge whatever they want to charge. So it is what it is. I remember I worked on Melissa and Joey Lawrence actually got married at Disney World, which I thought was hilarious. And his wife loved Disney World so much they got married there. And to get married at Disney World, everybody has to wear white. Everything. There's no black at all. White shoes, white socks, white pants, white everything. White tuxes. Everybody had to wear white. That was like a stipulation.
Like P. Diddy's white party.
If you want to get married at Disney World, just so you know, you got to wear all white. Anyways, we're going to move on. So we got a couple more things to talk about tonight. And this next segment I want to talk about is because it's Friday the 13th, right? So I was thinking about Friday the 13th. It's a different kind of show. We got to talk about horror movies, right? We have to talk about it because it's that day where it's a little spooky. We wonder, if you're superstitious a little bit, you say bad things happen today, or you just love horror movies and you just watch horror movies because it's Friday the 13th. So I raise this question out right now to my fellow hosts tonight. And that question is this: what is your favorite horror movie / TV show? Is there one that's your favorite? Is there something that stands out as a kid? Do you hate horror movies and so you don't watch them, but there's still one that you're like, hey, that's kind of fun. I have fun. Anybody in the comments, please tell us, what's your favorite horror movie? And if you're not watching this live, leave some comments and maybe we'll do a little recap on this and talk about other people's favorite horror movies. But I'm going to start right now with my two co-hosts for this evening. All right. Who wants to go first? Let's start with Jake. Jake, do you have a favorite horror movie / TV show? And do you like the genre at all?
Yes, I do. And I love it when it's, I don't know if you guys watched Sleepy Hollow at all when it was.
Oh, yeah.
So like that series, I love shows that are about history, but also tie the occult kind of into it, where it's like, like we were talking about The Mummy, or you guys were talking about The Mummy the other day. And that kind of thing where there's like the history aspect and the horror aspect, where it's like, it's an awesome story about something that's borderline historically accurate, right? So even like National Treasure with Nicolas Cage, not really a
Nick Cage.
It's not really a horror movie, or a show, but it's like there's a spooky element to it. I like that kind of thing where there's an ominous feel flowing throughout the whole thing. And the movie, The Number 23 with Jim Carrey, is my psychological favorite as far as that goes, and his acting in that show was amazing, in my opinion.
Dude, and also like him, like he doesn't play roles like that, but like, and especially dramatic stuff, and he was killer in that. He was great. Oh, yeah. And I don't understand why he doesn't do more because of that. He just didn't. Now he's retired, so we're probably not gonna get much more out of him as it is. So unless someone lures him back, he's retired. He retired after he finished being Dr. Robotnik. He said, "I'm done." He made an official statement.
Sick of people retiring. Like, just stop it. You're going to do another movie at some point when you run out of money. I mean, let's be realistic. Just stop. He retired.
I know. But that whole movie, Jake.
Go ahead.
What are you saying, Sabrina? No. Go ahead. Get it. No, come
on. I'm just really annoyed that he said he retired. Like that's
like that, but there's no point saying it.
I know, but they all come back. Every time. Daniel Day-Lewis retired, he came back. Martin Short retired, he came back. Like people, like you retire and then you realize it's a stupid idea because that's what you do and that's what makes you happy, and then you come back, or you run out of money and you come back. It doesn't make you happy. You're like, oh, I got to make a movie because I need to support myself.
Tired of getting commercial offers, and they're like, okay, I got to do another movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Why make that announcement? What's the point?
I don't know. And also Jim Carrey, though, you're going to retire after being Dr. Robotnik on Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That's your big swan song.
Yeah,
seriously. Like, to me, it's like, it doesn't make as much sense. Like now, if someone says like they won an Oscar for something, that makes more sense. Like I want an Oscar.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, I'm 90 years old. I think it's time for me to step down. Something like that. But as an actor,
you don't have to say it. Just do it. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Just don't make movies. Like, don't be like, I'm retired. It's just ridiculous. In my opinion.
But as an actor, Sabrina, you never really retire. I mean, people try to, but you always, something can lure you back. And also, why not?
That's why you shouldn't say you retire.
Yeah. And you just step away. Just step away and don't say anything. And then when something perks your interest again and brings you back into the field, then come back. That's what I think.
Don't understand the point of saying that. Like, do you not want people to think that like you're not getting offers and like everyone's like, oh, where Jim Carrey hasn't made a movie in a really long time. Oh, he must have fell. Something must have happened. Like, are you trying to quell that? Like, do you give a shit that much about what people think? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense to me. Just don't make movies anymore if you don't want to. And then when you feel like doing it again, because you will, then you come back. Like that's it. It doesn't make any sense to me to announce a retirement. Like, what do you want, a card? Yeah. Like, I don't understand. It's insane. And he's also very young, you know? I'm sorry, Jake, what did you say?
I was just wondering if he was even eligible for Social Security yet. Like, is that?
That's what I mean. Probably not. No.
Does he need it? He probably doesn't need it, but it's, you know.
He probably doesn't need it. He's probably, I mean, he was in that group that for a long time, that was like the $20 million group, which happened for a while in film, but then it kind of went away now. But when there were actual like big movie stars before social media and everything else, where people were actually movie stars, where you only saw them in those movies and they were like this mystery, they were paying the big bucks for people, you know, that it was a big $20 million club. So I guarantee he's fine for money. He did that show Kidding, which I was surprised he did that, but he was really good in that too. Again, that was a drama. And it was the same creator director of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, another great
one
movie
of my
that
favorite
he did.
Movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Great drama. He can do it. I wish he would end on a drama, or he could end on Ace Ventura 3. That'd be fine with me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They did that. What was it? They did they did Dumb and Dumber 2. I remember afterwards, which it was all right. You know, it was fun to see him back. There wasn't blockbuster movie. I remember after that, he said that he would like to do another one, a third one, maybe when they're in their 80s, which I think would be awesome. You know?
Right. It'd be like,
well, he retired, so sorry, you won't be able to do that.
Might not be happening. But the number 23. The number 23 is a great choice, though, Jake. I really think it is. It's a good movie. It showcases a different side of his performance, and something else that you don't really think of. Jim Carrey. It's creepy. It's all based off that number 23 keeps popping up everywhere, and it's really good. And I think he's like a detective in that or something too, right?
He started out he was kind of investigating himself, I think, towards the end of it. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've sat down and watched it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
That style, and like that's the one that sticks out in my mind if I had to pick one. But that style of psychological, you know.
I like it. Yeah, it's good. It's psychological. It's thriller. It's not just gory stuff, which I lean towards a lot too. I do watch the gory stuff, but I think I always lean towards the psychological thrillers. Sabrina, you hear this? What is your favorite horror movie?
Like that's not really a horror movie. It's more of, like you said, a psychological thriller. Well, like if you're talking about like Seven and Primal Fear and like, you know, movies like that, those are psychological thrillers, but that's not really a horror movie. Like, what's your favorite horror movie?
Horror movie? Bubba Hotep.
I love that movie.
That scared me.
You could classify that as a horror movie, I think. I mean, Bubba Hotep's killing killing all these
Adam
people.
Sandler?
No, that's the Bruce Campbell movie.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, I'm JFK. Got a little bag of sand in my head.
I was writing notes on the shithouse walls, like messages it was scary. I got scared.
It was scary.
Yeah. It made me nervous. The music in it was great, though.
It was creepy. And Bruce Campbell, speaking of Elvis, talk about Elvis the other day because, you know, Austin Butler won the award for Elvis. Well, I think Bruce Campbell gave him a run for his money. Let me tell you that. Because Bruce Campbell was a great Elvis in that movie.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Bubba Hotep. Will you accept that, Sabrina? Will you accept that one? Yes. Yes. All right, Sabrina, what about you? Horror movie. What do you got for Friday the 13th? You got any ideas? What's your favorite kind of horror, spooky thriller?
My favorite horror movie is definitely The Shining, by far, above and beyond. It terrified me when I saw it. Those twins, like anytime I see twins, I get terrified. Like even if they're having a good time and playing on a jungle gym or something, like twins freak me out forever from that movie. And there is so many, like when I don't know, when I get scared, I like have flashes of that movie for some reason. It really, really scared me. And I've watched it a million times. And like, so now, you know, I don't get scared as much when I'm watching it anymore because I've seen it a million times, but like it still holds up to this day. There's nothing I would change about it. Kubrick did an amazing job. Jack Nicholson did an amazing job. Shelley Duvall did an amazing, it was just epic. The corn maze at the end, it was just so good in my opinion. And there's nothing that could touch it in the horror world for me.
Yeah. Jake, you've seen that before, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But Bubba Hotep is your favorite horror movie?
Yes.
He's thinking about it. And I even like
is he frozen?
No,
he was thinking about it.
I was thinking hard. I don't know. The Shining is really good. I'm not gonna say that it's not a great movie, but as far as like the overall entertainment factor, I think Bubba Hotep was. Well, it depends. Are you talking about just like I want to get behind the couch and not watch this anymore? Kind of scary. Then I don't know if I ran into anything like that before. So
yeah, the ring didn't scare you and make you jump behind something.
No, but the one that did was The Grudge, which was a terrible movie. But
I never saw The Grudge.
The Grudge?
Me neither.
Yeah.
The Grudge. Yes, that was super creepy.
Yeah, there was that sound that it made. It was just like this weird sound. That one creeped me out, but it didn't I didn't hide from it.
The Ring also was super creepy.
Yeah,
that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, super creepy stuff. Like the things that you think about the next day, where you're like, woof,
Yeah. Well, back when we used to have people still have phones in their house, but back when everybody used to have like a landline, I remember when I was a younger kid after watching The Ring, and like the phone would ring afterwards, and I'd be like, don't answer that phone. Yeah, 7 days. And then I still like play jokes on people, like when it's 7 days before their wedding, I call them and say 7 days. I think I did it to you, Jake, too, before you got married. I think I called you and said 7 days. And then hung up.
And I was like, yeah.
That's not creepy at all.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But it didn't click until just now that's what you were doing. I just kind of thought, Brian's lost it. Okay, cool. I'll talk to him later.
COVID did not fare well with Brian.
Right.
No, it did not.
So
there's a lot of good horror movies. Yeah. There's a lot of good horror movies out there. I guess for me too, it's like when you look at all these different movies, like for me, I'd still love The Evil Dead, even though it's like horror comedy. That's still one of my favorite ones. Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2, probably more because that is more of the horror aspect. But I also love the Conjuring movies. Those are a lot of fun. And they definitely can be super creepy, but yet there's like the whole detective thing too. And you're actually trying to figure out it's like they're trying to figure out like, is it real? Is it not real? That's fun. The Saw movies, if you're looking at something that's like super gross, that would be something that I would lean towards as my gross horror, because honestly, the first one especially. Yeah. I watched them all. They're like my guilty pleasure. I've seen them all. Like we talked about, there's a Saw 10 coming out in October. So they're bringing it back again. Yeah, wow. If you didn't know that, Jake, Saw 10's coming in October. And they will never stop at those movies. And I liked how they got connected at one point. But then it's just, mindless, just gore. The traps could be interesting sometimes, which I think was fun. And The Thing, I guess, is The Thing a horror movie? Because I think that's really cool too. It's a fun one going back in time. But that's Friday the 13th. And even the OG, Friday the 13th, the Freddy movies, Halloween. I was never like a huge fan of those. I remember when I was a kid, my brother used to put this like pillowcase on me before I go to sleep on my pillow. And it was Freddy on there with his fingers, and it said Friday the 13th. Not creepy or anything. I tried to get rid of that pillowcase so many times, and he kept putting it on my pillowcase, like just creeping me out as a kid. Like, thank you so much, Kyle.
Yeah, for sure, Kyle.
But so they never been a big thing for me, but I'd still watch them. The reboot of Freddy was okay. The Halloween ones, the new ones haven't been that great, I don't think. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but I still don't think they've hit the mark they could have, especially this last one.
Halloween is like probably my favorite franchise. If you were going to pick one of those like 3 from that area of time, like, Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers, like I definitely would go with Halloween for sure.
Yeah. But it's Friday the 13th, everybody. What do you think? What's your favorite horror movie? Do you have something that stands out? Is there something you're like, this is it? Leave some comments, let us know, and we'll talk about that more, because it's Friday the 13th. But now we got to get on to our featured story of the night. Here we go. All right, our featured story. And you would think it would be Friday the 13th stuff, but we got to talk about some DC stuff as we do on this show. We got to talk about Batman. We've been talking about James Gunn a lot. We've been talking about the DC universe. We talk about Marvel here, of course. Well, I wanted to bring up Batman because this is something going through the trades right now. And people are asking, because James Gunn has been like, the Flash stuff's been happening. By the way, he took a year of probation. We talked about the Flash yesterday, so he took a year of probation. So that's what he's going to do. He won't serve any jail time. A little update on that. Of course, he won't get jail time, but that's how it goes when you're a celebrity sometimes. and you have great lawyers and great money. It's like that. I remember I was watching South Park, and Magic Johnson, he's like, he's cured of AIDS. And like, how do you cure AIDS? He put a bunch of money in a blender and he blended it up and then he drank it. He's like, the cure for AIDS. And he's drinking it, So
wow.
Money. But anyway, so Ezra, hopefully he does well. Hopefully he gets treatment. Hopefully it'll be okay. I did say that. Yes, I said that, everybody. Money. It makes the world spin. Anyway, so DC, let's talk about Batman. So everyone's asking, well, Matt Reeves has had the new Batman movie came out. It's on HBO Max right now. You can watch it. We call him Battinson. Yeah, Pattinson is Batman. So everyone's been asking, well, with James Gunn taking over, will the Battinson franchise exist? Will Matt Reeves be pushed aside? Well, that's been a question going around. Well, apparently it's going to stick. That's what Matt Reeves is saying. So this is what's been happening. This is from the direct. This is a quote from Matt Reeves talking about his interactions with James Gunn about his Batman franchise.
Reeves noted that he is set to have a meeting with DC Studios CEOs later in the month, noting how hard they have all been working on their respective projects. We've talked a few times. I'm supposed to get together with James Gunn and Peter Safran sometime this month. They've been working feverishly on what they're doing, and I've been working hard with my partners doing what we're doing, all our shows and stuff. The Batman director also teased a small bit about what the meeting will entail, saying that they will discuss, and I quote, what the arcs of these two things are.
Yeah, and he also said, like, I'm going to have to read this whole thing. We're kind of getting late in the show, but he also said we're going to have a sit down and talk about everything that's going on and what the arcs are of these two franchises, because, James Gunn will probably have a Batman and Matt Reeves will have a Batman. So they got to get on the same page. And actually on top of that too, Warner Brothers gave Matt Reeves a deal where they get to have rights to overall a first look of all of his projects. So pretty much if Matt Reeves creates something, Warner Brothers gets the first grab at it, where they can take and decide to put it under their brand, or he can take it someplace else, which is leading people to say, well, okay, if Warner Brothers signed this deal, and this was David Zaslav gave him this deal, who actually runs Warner Brothers Discovery. Well, if James Gunn's in charge, how does Matt Reeves have this deal with Zaslav saying that they get first look at all of his stuff? Well, it doesn't specifically say it's the DC stuff. It just says, well, everything he does, they get to have first grabs at it. So Matt Reeves is saying, my franchise is fine. I have this contract. All my stuff is first grab to WB. So my Batman movies are going to go forward. We haven't had a meeting yet, but we're going to sit down and talk about it. Now, here's my thing I want to say. Okay, he says it's fine. But if James Gunn's in charge, and he said Batman's going to be a big force moving forward in his DCU, what happens with this whole franchise? Now, the movie made money, and people liked it. Again, it has its issues. It was super long, and people complained about the third act. Let me go to Jake. Jake, did you see the Batman? And do you think that, okay, let me ask you that first. Did you see the Batman?
No.
Okay. Well, okay, without seeing it, look at it this way. Okay, so James Gunn's in charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has his own idea for Batman.
Mm-hmm.
If he's ultimately in charge, do you think that Matt Reeves actually has a stance here saying that his franchise has no worry?
No. I mean, well, who I'm confused.
Well, he has a contract saying that Warner Brothers gets first grabs at all of his projects.
Oh, that is a picture.
Did he do Batman Begins?
He did not. He did the Batman, but before that, he did the Planet of the Apes movies. He did the three of the newest ones.
Okay.
And he made that whole franchise. And with that, it led to him getting the Batman through Warner Brothers. And so he's getting first. They're saying that, I mean, it did do well. And so people were saying they said right away before the Batman 2 announcement came, it was like right after the Batman came out, they made a huge announcement saying, oh, Batman 2 is coming. This is before James Gunn got in charge of everything. So to me, I'm worried for a little bit for Matt Reeves. I think he's being too, chill about this. To me, he hasn't sat down with James Gunn. It's the same thing as Zachary Levi, who's Shazam. He hasn't sat down with him. He's like, oh, I'm fine. Well, your movie hasn't come out yet, right? So once the movie comes out, we'll see what happens. If it doesn't do well, do you think that he's going to keep you as Shazam? Probably not. Yeah. Same thing with Matt Reeves. They haven't had a chance to sit down yet. This movie's been out for a while. It's mixed reviews. It did do really well, but I don't think he can guarantee himself anything until he talks to James Gunn. personally, right? So you hear that. Do you think that he's fine? Or do you think that there may be some worry?
I
I
don't know. It seems like to me, I've been confused about like the Batman series for a long time. Like Superman, Batman. I've never really. It feels like it's always something different and somebody else's take on the whole situation, which for me it translates into okay. So which Superman is my favorite one, rather than there just being Iron Man. You know, like Captain America is Captain America. And there's like, kind of, right? I mean,
there hasn't been other Captain Americas.
They made Captain America. Anthony Mackie is now Captain America, and now there's 2 girls that are Captain America in another Marvel universe. The multiverse, really. But I know what you're saying. I'm just kind of being an asshole. I'm sorry, Jake.
No, you don't have to apologize. I get I see what you're saying too.
Well, it leads to the question: is this confusing though? Is it too confusing for the consumer and for the fans to have multiple people playing the same character?
Yeah, well, it could be for me, yes, because I get confused very quickly when it's situations like that where I'm like, wait a minute, I have to. If I'm not gonna be like, if I don't keep up on something all the way through it, and then I come back later and I'm like, well, okay, what's going on now? Like, okay, I guess I'll go feed the chickens. Like, this isn't fun for me. Like, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. But, you know, I don't really know, I guess. I don't know enough about it to make that kind of decision or make that statement.
Yeah. Sabrina, you hear about this, so what do you think? Do you think that Matt Reeves is fine? Do you think that he has nothing to worry about at all? He has his contract, so he's fine. Or do you think that James Gunn could just shit can him tomorrow if he wanted to?
Well, if I heard you correctly, Warner Brothers has first look at all of his projects, not just a Batman project, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, they could either say we're going to do this or we're going to pass, no matter what it is. So if in the contract it doesn't say anything about a second Batman, then I don't think he's safe at all. And even if he did have a contract that did say something about a second Batman, I'm sure they could do a buyout of some sort and work it out so that it doesn't happen if they didn't want it to. That being said, I honestly think James Gunn is not going to continue on with any of the pre-existing franchises. I think he's going to start from scratch, honestly. I don't think there will be another Shazam. There's obviously not going to be another Black Adam. I don't think that there's going to be another Batman with Robert Pattinson. I really don't. You know, and him having Warner Brothers having first look at everything, like I'm sure they'll probably make other movies of his, but I just think that James Gunn is going to go a different direction than anything that's been done before, honestly.
Yeah, and that was my thing when I read this too. I was like, I don't see how he seems so chill and so cool about, oh, it's fine, I got this deal. Well, how many people had deals with Warner Brothers before James Gunn came in? Henry Cavill just signed a new contract to be Superman, and they let him go, you know? So I don't think he's sitting safe, as people say. They say, oh, it's for sure happening. We just have to coordinate, he's saying, as if everything's fine before they've even had a conversation about it, which I think is just, you know, counting your chickens, as Jake said, before they hatch.
Sure. The best part about that is he actually means that he's going to feed the chickens. Like he actually has chickens to feed. That's true. Not like Jake a saying, chickens. Just so everybody knows.
I do.
How many chickens do you have, Jake?
There's 12 now. Yeah.
Do they all have names?
The only one that I know of is Larry, which a female chicken and lays eggs, but she's the best one because she lays an egg every day. The other one's 4 freeloaders for sure, and then the rest are cool. But Charlie knows all their names. So
nice.
She's on top of it. Yeah, she's got it all figured out. But
you have to have Charlie on sometime. She'd probably love to be here.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
But that's the thing about this whole franchise, though. I feel like there's no guarantees anymore at DC. There's no guarantees for Warner Brothers. No matter what people say, oh, yeah, it's happening. But once I saw that Henry Cavill was fired, it's like there's definitely nothing. And James Gunn said over and over again, he's doing his own thing. He's got a whole slate coming soon. We still haven't gotten that. It's supposed to come this month. So any day we're going to get a whole slate for him for at least the first phase. As Marvel does, they do their phases. Like, I'm going to give you like 10 movies right now, and I'll give you 10 movies next year and 10 the next year, you know, so you kind of know what's coming, and we're building and building and building. So to me, like what Jake said was like a big reason why I think James Gunn won't keep the Batman around. There's 2 big reasons. My first one is the confusion. And they've said that before. There've been so many different people, and they're saying it's an Elseworlds thing. Okay, well, it's a different universe. Okay, that's great and all, but people get confused, especially how DC's been so out of whack as it is. Like, who's Batman? Who's Superman? What's happening? So to me, if you're going to do a clean slate and make it right, you got to have one person playing that character, and that's it. Other thing is Pattinson himself. He was very problematic on the first one. He doesn't want to do a lot of these movies. There were a lot of production issues with him, even though the people will try to push under the rug. There's a bunch of things happening with him that he was fighting with the director, delays. I'm surprised they're even dealing with him anymore. I thought he'd be recast after the first one. So does James Gunn want to work with somebody like that? Does he want to let that person in his world? Who knows? They are continuing with the Joker 2, but that was already in production before James Gunn got in charge. So that was already too far gone. I don't think he would cancel something that far gone. They have the Aquaman movie coming out. That was already in the can beforehand. The Flash already in the can. They are doing some light reshoots on the Flash right now. If you haven't heard about that, they're doing some light reshoots in the next couple weeks. They say it's something monumental, but that's happening. So you can't stop that ship. But something like this, where it's just beginning, you can stop that just like that. You can end it. So it'll just take some time. We'll watch and see. But I don't think that Matt Reeves is as safe as he says he is. Even though he had a good movie, I don't know. I don't know if people want that brooding Batman.
Was it good?
They also have TV shows though, Sabrina. There's a Penguin TV show that's moving forward with Colin Farrell playing the Penguin based off that. And there's also another one that's
the best part of that movie. So I am not surprised that he will have a spinoff. He was amazing. Like, when he was on the screen was the only time I gave a shit about anything happening in that movie, honestly.
I just watched Minority Report yesterday again.
Oh, he's so good in that too. And good.
That's funny you say that, because I was just watching that. I like old stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's great.
So in 10 years, we'll talk to you about the Batman.
For sure. That's
If you have like 3 hours and 15 minutes to sit down and watch it sometime, Jake, let us know.
Torture.
It's like 3:15, something like that. It's a long movie. It's just as long as Avatar,
and I saw it in the movie
too.
theater. It really gave me a backache.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a long movie. It's just, it's good. It's drawn out. It's very slow paced. There are a lot of good moments in it. I just say the third act is like, it's all the Riddler. It's building up to the Riddler. And then the third act, the Riddler is not the villain. It's like his subordinates. What do you do? Anyways, we'll see. I'm going to say it again. I don't think Matt Reeves is safe. He says he is. The trades are saying he's fine. They just have to have a conversation and it'll be great. We align our paths to make sure we're not doing the same thing. We'll see. That's the question for you. Do you think that Matt Reeves is safe, or do you think that he's skating on thin ice? And we'll see what happens. We'll see. Anyways, we're at that time on our show. Thank you so much for being here, Sabrina. Thank you, Jake, for being here again. We appreciate you being here as always. Hopefully, we have you back again soon.
Yeah, whenever.
And everybody, we'll let you know if you're down. We'll have you back, man. It's always great to have you here.
All right.
Everybody out there, thank you for joining us. It's been a great show tonight. Enjoy your Friday the 13th. Hopefully it's not spooky. Hopefully there's nothing bad happening. Hopefully it's a great day. Watch some horror movies if you like them. Give us some comments about what's your favorite movie, what you thought about today's show. Please like, subscribe. That subscription button goes a long way. A lot of people don't do it. You go watch a show, you don't subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, and it doesn't really do anything besides notify you when we're on, and helps us with YouTube, with our viewership, with everything. So please subscribe, join our Patreon if you can, if you're able to, and support us on that level. Thank you so much for being here. You can find us on Audible, on all your audio platforms. You can find us everywhere at Kruse Control Show. Thank you so much for being here again. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, hosts, again. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.